Hi folks, Six Slices here. This is a follow-up video to Niffty Kaniffy's open tag 12 knives from 12 countries. I think we can go to about 15 countries, different ones here, although one is a bit of a cheat, and that's where we'll start. I live in Scotland, and this is the only Scottish made knife that I have. This is a little ski and do made in Ullapool in Scotland. And it's a Damascus steel blade. I put a mirror polished edge on it. I don't know how long that edge will last because I don't know how good the heat treat is on the steel. But it's stag with African blackwood inlaid because it's a rat tang blade. This was given to me as a present by my new son-in-law at my daughter's wedding. Just a fortnight ago. Seems like a lot. Seems like only yesterday. Anyway, so that's from Scotland, and I'll show you one from England. Now, Scotland and England are part of the United Kingdom, and long may it remain that way. But you know, they're four nations. We have four nations: Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, within one country. But I'll show you this, which is an English-made knife made by Lee White at Taylor's Eyewitness. It's a bit of a one-off, this one. You've not seen it before. It'll get a video at some point, but I just haven't quite got there. It says, well, it's an age-old design. It's 1670 Barlow, devised by Obadiah Barlow back in Sheffield in about 1670 or thereby. But this one is in acrylic with real gold mesh inlaid in it. So it's a one-off. I mean, maybe they'll make some more in the future, but so far it's a one-off. Anyway, I'll show you that. So if we cross the English Channel, we would find ourselves in France. Now, France is famous for its open L knives, which are the sort of ubiquitous one that's known all across the world. It's not the best knife they make. I mean, these are actually good, really good camp cook knives. But I'm going to show you this one. This is the Epicurean by Robert David. I'm showing you this because it's very, very pretty. It's also very, very shiny, and as you can see, it takes fingerprints very easily. But l'Epicurean par Robert David, made in France. So that's a French knife. It's a beautiful burl wood handle and let's say a very highly polished blade. So that's France. If we go south from France, we would get ourselves to Spain. And this particular knife here is actually a Puma knife. You can see from the really taste-free shield on the handle, set into a beautiful bit of burl wood, which just seems to me crying shame, but nonetheless. But again, as is common with a lot of French knives, you get quite a lot of billboarding on the blade, which is not very attractive, but useful if you're a knife collector and you have a poor memory, as I have. So this is Armino Amboina. So Armino is the blade style, Amboina is the type, is the wood handle. It's got a number there, 12RC. It's a steel made by Puma, and it's handmade in Spain. It's one of the Puma IP knives. They Rockwell test them, and they put you see the little divot on the back. But I don't actually know what the Rockwell is because it just gives you a range that it comes out to, which just seems a bit pointless to me, but there we are. Right, so if we go, we could go head slightly east and we could find ourselves very quickly in Switzerland. Switzerland is famous, of course, for the Swiss Army knife. One day somebody will come up with another knife that's made in Switzerland, which would be more interesting for a selection like this. But there we are. That's Switzerland, and that's country number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where could we go from Switzerland? We could go north, and we would find ourselves in Germany. And this is an Otto Messer from Germany with a beautiful blued steel blade. I don't know if you can get all the colour in that on the camera, but it is really very, very beautiful. It's a sort of satin finish, but then blued, with white bone handles and a killick anchor. The killick is a rank in the Royal Navy, leading seaman, but it's known as the killick because that's the badge that they have, and that's what Paddy was when he was in Paddy Potato Peelers was when he was in the Royal Navy. So if we go from Germany, if we went back to Switzerland and we headed south, we'd find ourselves in Italy. I've lots of Italian knives. I don't really, I mean, other than the sort of bayonet style flick knife, that's the only knife that I can think of that's very, very typically Italian. Certainly nothing else sort of springs to mind, but there are some very good knife makers in Italy. This is by one of them. This is by Mazarin. I have a few knives by Mazarin. This is a 440C blade, Mazarin, Italy, and I think you can maybe see that on the blade. It's got lovely stag handles, steel frame, lock back. I like lock backs. So that's Italy. Now, where are we going to go from Italy? Well, we could head north and start to look at Scandinavian countries. Now, Sweden have a number of Falkniven knives, and this one even says on the back, Sweden, which is a bit of a disappointment because they're actually made in Japan. All Falkniven knives are made in Japan, and that's you know, I just think you should just be honest about it. Japan is a good place to have knives made. There are a number of Swedish knives though in my collection that are genuinely Swedish, and if I can get it out the handle, out the sheath, this is one of them. This is Carasando Knives, which is made in Sweden, again handmade knives. This is various types of wood with a stag cap on the handle, but that's not the one I'm going to show you as my Swedish representative because it's a fixed blade. I could have pulled out a couple of more knives as well, which are the same Sweden. Instead, I'm going to show you this, which is an Eka or EKA knife. It's just a little pocket knife. It's got a little blade, which actually says Eka Sweden, and this is actually made in Sweden, genuinely so. It's got the Swedish coat of arms on it because it's by appointment to the Swedish royal family. And this little knife has a cap lifter, a screwdriver, and a pair of scissors on the other side. And it's just really quite pretty with the I don't know if it's gilt or brass, with black enamel, and on this side obviously red and blue enamel as well as the black. It's just a really quite nice knife. Now I was trying to buy the Eka 5, which is a little lockback knife, and it was out of stock, but they said I've got the Eka 6, and when he said it had scissors on it, I was sold. That was all I needed to know, and that was joined my collection. Oh, I skipped a country when we're heading north, and that's Poland. Now I used to have a very fancy Polish knife from Polish Custom Knives, but I traded that a little while ago. I'm slightly worried that flippers in the UK are not such a good thing. But this is made in Poland. It says it there. Now this is probably the other extreme from Polish Custom Knives or Herman Knives. This is the opposite extreme. This is a very basic Polish electrician's knife. But Poland still makes these as well as making high-class flippers. So that's Poland, much in the news at the moment. A lot of people from Ukraine have fled to Poland, over 1.5 million last time I looked, which is a very sad situation that's going on in the world. That's me done for Europe, so let's head a little bit further south. And this is a South African knife by Andre de Villiers. I still have 3 of his knives. I did have another 2. One got stolen, and I sold one. Very annoying, but the one that was stolen, because I had actually already sold it, and I had to do a refund and an apology that it got stolen when I put it out for the postman. Nonetheless, this is the MP by Andre de Villiers. It's a handmade custom knife from a South African knife maker, and as I say, I've still got a couple of his knives. So I think now we're going to head east, but in a slightly odd way, because I want to talk about this. Now I have a few, I used to have 4 of these, and I've sold 2 of them because, or sold one, traded one, because, I used to recommend these to people and as the best UK legal carry knife, and I still hold by that. I have one with titanium bolster and G10 handle, which lives in my man bag. This one I carry more occasionally. I took the clip off this one. I don't really like pocket clips very much, and I put this in a slip. This is the Enzo Pk 70. Now Enzo are a Scandinavian country, but this is not made in Scandinavia. This is made in Taiwan, the Taichung factory. So I'm putting this down as Taiwan, not as Finland. Though this one actually was assembled in Finland from parts as a gift from Dennis at Enzo, in recognition of the number of their knives that have sold off the back of my suggestions. Now also, while we're out in that part of the world, as people may know, Taiwan is a disputed territory that China believes should be part of the greater Chinese enterprise. Not so keen on that idea myself, but whilst we're talking of China, China is known for making cheap knives, though its reputation is improving with the likes of Riat and Kaiser and Wei and so forth, making lovely knives. This is made by a small independent maker in China, JE Made. Now JE is apparently, the letters JE are as close to the Chinese pronunciation of the chap who behind his name. So this one was obviously made in 2018, it says it there, and it says 35 VN. This is titanium integral knife, so the bolsters and frame are each one piece. It's not integral like a flipper. Each side is integral, if you like, with these lovely stag inlays. It's got a little stag bead. I don't think that's original to the knife. I think it was added by its previous owner before I got it. But anyway, I'm choosing that to represent China because I think that's actually a really good representation of the way China is these days and what they're capable of and able to do. Running out of space here, but I'm running out of countries as well, so I suppose that's probably just as well. I have a number of Japanese knives. I could probably say I collect Japanese knives as much as I collect anything, and I could put in something that's sort of around the pinnacle of my collection, like the Rockstead here. I very much like Rocksteads, or one could even go for, when the Japanese made Spyderco's. Oh, I can't even remember the name. Or I've got there's a Makusta here, which harks back to a particular type of design that comes from 1894 or 96, depending on who you ask. This is sort of in the Higa Nakami style. This one is called the Higa and it's made by Makusta. But the one I'm going to actually put in to represent Japan is this one. This is, it says on there, it's a Higa Nakami. And this one is in a Japanese steel, but not blue paper or white paper steel. This is a sort of a modern steel, and complete with sticky goo because I was using. This has come straight out of my pocket. It's in VG10, but this is a Higa Nakami made by Mr. Nagao in Miki in Japan. One of the things I like about these knives is that they're inherently left-handed. In other words, when you hold them in your hand, you can see the writing on the handle and the blade, which is the wrong way round to every other knife just about that I own. I've got a couple of obviously left-handed knives, but all Higa Nakamis are made in that way. I suspect it's because traditionally, if one wears a Japanese knife, depending on how you which way up you hold it, but you have the maker's name to the outside. So if you imagine this in a sheath on your side, that would be the side that would show out if it was a sheath knife, and I suspect that's the reason why the writing is on that side. Obviously, the old katana would be worn with the blade uppermost, in which case you would have expected to find the May or the signature on that side. But because this is probably sheath knife is worn vertically, or generally speaking, I imagine that's why the May's ended up on that side. So I've just got one more country I want to go to. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Unlucky for some, so we'll go for a 14th just to make it good, and that is I'm going to go to America. Now, I could have picked a GEC, or I could have picked any number of people, but I thought I'd show you something that I've not shown you before. I've shown it on Instagram, but I've never put it on video before. And this is a Tim Britton, Britton, Britton. Now he signs it. It looks like he signs it with an electro pencil, which I think is probably right. And I don't know who did the engraving. He doesn't do it himself. He farms it out. It costs a fortune to have these engraved. I believe it adds about £200 or $200 rather to the cost of a knife, perhaps a little bit more, to have the bolsters engraved, and these ones are inset with gold as well. This is stag handled. It's called BT42 or BG42 or something like that, is the blade steel. It's a very slim, very slicey little Warncliffe blade in a teardrop handle. It's just a very beautiful little knife, and I carry and use this one really quite a lot. Now, that's 14 countries. I have got a 15th country that I'm going to show you, but I don't have a folding knife from them. Now, it's not to say that there aren't folding knives from them, but it's just that I just don't have one. And that is Norway. Now, there we are. This is a Hella Jägermeister. This is the name of the knife. It's just over a 5-inch blade. This is probably more of a Luku than a Puko, but nonetheless, there we are. This is a Rat-Tang peened knife from Hella. I like this knife. It's a really, it's a good size working knife, and if I was a camper, I could see myself carrying this and using it. It's really not much better quality than a Mora, except that it's got nice wood and brass, and there's a laminated steel. It's their proprietary laminated steel, so I don't know if it's necessarily great. But the reason that it's in here today is, as I say, that, I don't know if you can read that, but it says made in Norway. Helle, Norway. It's a family-owned company that's been around for over 100 years, I think. It's only set up early in the 20th century. So there we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 knives from 15 countries. And that is me done. Thank you for watching. See you again. Bye.